The last time England travelled to the World Cup as defending champions, something else was making the journey to Mexico: the Ford Escort. Today, the Escort Mexico is one of the most recognisable sporting Fords ever made. But have you ever stopped to ask, why Mexico? It wasn't built there, and it wasn't designed for the Mexican market. And despite its timing, it wasn't designed because England had won the World Cup. Its name celebrated a very different victory. In April 1970, an extraordinary competition began outside Wembley Stadium. Its destination was Mexico City, but getting there would involve nearly 16,000 miles of some of the most punishing driving imaginable. And Ford believed this relatively ordinary car could win it. The Daily Mirror World Cup Rally was devised to connect cities hosting two successful football World Cups. London had staged the tournament in 1966 and Mexico City would host it in 1970, so the competitors would carry the story of the World Cup from one host city to the next. The route began at Wembley on the 19th of April 1970 and ended in Mexico City on the 27th of May, covering approximately 25,700 kilometres. But they didn't just drive west towards the Atlantic, they raced across Europe to Lisbon. The cars were then shipped out to South America, and there they continued their race north towards Mexico. The route crossed mountains, deserts, jungle tracks, and roads that could destroy a car in a matter of miles. 96 crews started. The entry included Triumphs, Austin Maxes, Citroens, BMWs, Porsches, Muscoviches, and Mercedes-Benz saloons. There were even two Rolls-Royces. Yes, that's right. Someone looked at one of the most brutal rallies ever organised and thought a Rolls-Royce was the answer. It wasn't. Neither Rolls-Royce reached the official finish. Two Rolls-Royces, a Silver Cloud and a Silver Shadow, were entered. Both retired. So why did Ford use the Escort? Surely a bigger, more powerful car would have made more sense. Not necessarily. The Escort was compact and relatively light. Its rear-wheel drive layout was simple. It was already proving highly successful in competition, and more importantly, Ford's rally team understood it. On a conventional rally, outright speed could win. On this rally, it meant absolutely nothing unless your car could survive for more than 5 weeks. The cars used enlarged versions of Ford's dependable cross-flow engine, along with tougher suspension and components borrowed elsewhere in the Ford range. They were powerful enough to compete, but simple enough to repair. Ford hadn't chosen the biggest car. They chose the vehicle they thought had the biggest chance of making it to the end, and most out on the field wouldn't. As the rally travelled north through South America, the route began destroying cars. The engines failed and suspensions broke. Crews became exhausted, and some simply disappeared from the results. Of the 96 cars that left Wembley, only 23 were classified as official finishers in Mexico City. That's less than 1 in 4. But at the front was the Ford Escort Finnish driver Hannu Mikkola and Swedish co-driver Gunnar Palm. After almost 16,000 miles, their Escorts arrived in Mexico City victorious. But Ford hadn't merely won, the Escorts had dominated. The Escorts finished 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 8th and 23rd. 6 Escorts reached the finish. 5 of them occupied places inside the top 8. It was the kind of car that most manufacturers could only dream about, and for Ford it wasn't just about the trophy. They saw a car that people would love to own. In November 1970, just months after the victory, Ford introduced a new road-going Escort. It would be built at Ford's Advanced Vehicles Operations Factory in Aveley, Essex, and it would carry the name of the rally's destination, Mexico. It wasn't just a sticker package or an expensive copy of a competitor's car. Ford did something rather clever. The Mexico used Ford's familiar 1.6-litre Kent Crossflow. It produced around 86 horsepower. Not spectacular today, but in a small light Escort it provided a lively performance. It also remained relatively inexpensive, dependable and easy to maintain. In other words, you could buy a car with the strength of body and the appearance of one of Ford's rallying heroes, without needing the budget or the technical support from a rallying team. That combination made the Mexico enormously appealing. It looked special, it carried genuine competition credibility and was quick enough to be exciting, but simple enough to use every day. Ford had turned one of the most demanding motorsport victories into a car that any enthusiast could put on their driveway. Ford eventually built 10,352 Mark I Mexicos. That made it the most commercially successful of Ford's specialist Aveo Escorts, outselling the more expensive RS 1600 by a huge margin. In 1970, a different team left Wembley for Mexico and came back as winners. Their victory didn't only produce a trophy, it produced a car that allowed thousands of ordinary drivers to share a little of Ford's rallying success. And in more than half a century later, that victory lives on in just 2 words: Escort Mexico. Don't forget to like and to share, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode of Classic Car Stories. But don't park the car just yet. Make sure you drive straight into the next episode, all about the Escort RS 2000, which changed the family's life forever, because every classic has a story to tell.